Immerse yourself in history and your children's favorite stories. Travel down the paths of royalty and visit the sites where famous and infamous historical moments occurred. I'm talking about London, of course. In London, you can explore places that inspired some of our favorite childhood stories like Harry Potter, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, Paddington, Mary Poppins, Robin Hood, and King Arthur. It's such a wonderful family destination, and I cannot wait to share my favorite things to do as a family in London.
I'm Christina. I'm a traveler, a planner, and most importantly, a mom. I'm sharing my best tips to make traveling as a family a little less stressful. So put down your phone, pack your bags, and let's showcase the world.
Hi, I'm Christina, and I'm the owner of Showcase the World Travel, a modern travel agency helping families take a break from the busy and explore the world together. And one of my favorite places to explore with my daughter is London. London will always hold a place in my heart. I studied abroad there, and it's just absolutely one of my favorite cities. I'm located in Boston, and so being on the East Coast, London is so easy to get to with direct flights from New York and Boston, less than 6 hours long. It's super manageable for kids. Most flights are red eyes, so you may be even to get your children to sleep for the flight. And on top of it, you won't have to worry about much of a language barrier. There's still a little bit. Those accents can get really thick sometimes, but for the most part, you're speaking the same language. And so in London, some of the things that I absolutely love doing, and my daughter loves as well, is the Museum of London. You can view a collection of over 1 million objects, thousands of years worth of London history, from prehistoric and Roman discoveries found in London. But what I love about the Museum of London is the amazing interactive exhibits. You can definitely see, they definitely thought about getting kids involved here, and there's like this old Victorian street that you can walk down, and there's cars you can get in. So the Museum of London does a really great job. There's little doors you can open. I'm sure you can have a great scavenger hunt here. And so the Museum of London is great. Another great thing to do would be to take a walking tour, depending on your child's interest. There's Jack the Ripper tours, Beatles tours, and of course Harry Potter tours. And so those are great ways to introduce yourself to the history of the city and the outline of the city. Then there's always Royal London and the changing of the guard. One of the greatest experience, and this is not something that you can book on your own. It's exclusive to one of the suppliers that I work with, and they only work exclusively with travel advisors, is behind the scenes of changing of the guard. And so you're not going to do the changing of the guard in front of Buckingham Palace, but you're going to be able to go to their quarters and talk to the guards beforehand. And it was so cool. I have some really cool pictures with the guards smiling, and someone was like, "Oh, you got them to smile?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, they weren't on duty. We were just hanging out." And so your kids can see them practice for the changing of the guard. And you know, they usually do some really fun songs. The band plays some really fun songs. I have them playing You've Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story before they march down the mall to Buckingham Palace. So you're right there. You get to learn the history of the guards, what the different things on the uniforms mean. And so it's really, really fun to take some photos of Big Ben, walk down to Buckingham Palace, see the guards, and then you can blow off some steam in St. James Park before grabbing lunch and visiting the Queen's Horse Guards or the Churchill War Rooms or something else that's in the area. Kids also love Covent Garden. There's a lot of street performers down there. So there's some shops. But what my family loves in Covent Garden is the London Transportation Museum. It's a museum of London transportation, so it's super interesting for adults. But what kids love are that you can get on all of the vehicles, and you can get on a 18th century train, and you see how transportation developed, and there's a little play area in there that kids don't ever want to leave. They get to drive a double-decker bus, and so really fun interactive museum that's great for everybody. And then when you're in the West End, theater lovers, you can get tickets to a show. Mary Poppins is a perennial favorite to see in the West End. I've also seen some great shows that really haven't made it over to Broadway. Zorro the musical has been one of my favorite. It was the story of Zorro set to the music of the Gypsy Kings, and it didn't leave the West End. It's not there now, but there's some great shows there, great talent as well. The Tower of London is great. Also, it's one of my favorite locations in London. I can go back 1,000 times and still learn something new. And therefore, I do recommend a private tour guide for the Tower of London, so they can kind of gauge your interests and tell you the stories that are going to be relevant to you. And so a great day doing the Tower of London would be then walking over the bridge to South Bank, getting something to eat in Borough Market, passing Shakespeare's Globe, and ending at the London Eye. And what kid is not going to love the huge giant Ferris wheel, right? The London Eye is so fun, and you can play I Spy, and you can find Buckingham Palace and Big Ben, and maybe even you can see all the way down to Greenwich sometimes. You find the Tower of London, the Shard, and so that's a really fun outing for families. Something you might not think is super family friendly, but is something that we love, my 4-year-old adores, is high tea. And most of my favorite high teas are near Kensington, which is great because you can do one of the themed teas, and then head to the Diana's Memorial Playground in Kensington Gardens. It's Peter Pan themed, so there's a pirate ship, there's Lost Boys Playhouse, Treehouse, and so one of the best playgrounds I've ever seen. Annabelle's still talking about it, and the last time we were in London was about 8 months ago. And so just, picnicking in Kensington Gardens, running around Kensington Gardens, and heading to the Peter Pan statue and the Diana Memorial Playground is a perfect way to kind of let off energy after a high tea. But one Aldwych always has a themed tea. Sometimes it's themed to the nearby Science Museum, so they've had planetarium style space teas. They've had Jurassic dinosaur teas, and so they have some really great ones there. Kensington Palace has a good option as well. It's pretty low-key. It's not as fancy as some high teas, but it's in the orangery in the palace, and so that's a really fun experience, laid back and great for kids. A Greenwich day trip will take you out of London, but not really. It feels like a small community within a stone's throw of London that still gives you a different perspective of the city. You can take the tube, taxi, or cruise down the River Thames to get to Greenwich. And the biggest attractions by far are the Royal Greenwich Observatory, the Prime Meridian. Kids will love exploring the Cutty Sark, a British clipper ship built in 1869, and you can grab lunch at the food stalls at Greenwich Market, spend the afternoon at Greenwich Park for your imaginative kids. The playground has a lovely nautical theme. There's really nothing better than the parks in London, and so being able to pair a typically London experience with some nearby park for your kids to let off that steam and energy is always wonderful. And yes, your kids may not remember it. I have a lovely picture of Annabelle sleeping in her stroller in front of Buckingham Palace, but she also has amazing memories of tea and the playgrounds and the museum, the Transport Museum and Hampton Court. And so London is such a great first international destination, and I would love to help you plan it. You can visit the website, which will be at the end of the video. Also, please hit the bell to subscribe so that not only are you notified when we have more incredible family travel content, but other families who are looking for tips and tricks to make travel easier will be able to find us a little bit easier as well. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to take a break from the busy.
Need help planning your next family vacation? Visit us at showcasetheworld.com to request a quote or schedule a free vacation consultation. Want more great travel tips? You'll find those there too.